So while there aren't a ton of marquee matchups this week in the NFL, there are still a few games that you can consider trap games when you look at the schedule, where you have a really good team who's in playoff position playing against a not so good team who's playing for draft position. With that being said, welcome to my Week 15 predictions, and it should be a pretty interesting week in the NFL. Now, of course, I'm not going to be predicting the Titans-Lions game in this video. That video will be up on Friday, but we'll be talking about that game a little bit in this video. First things first, we got Thursday Night Football, the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, and this is a big-time trap game. I talked about trap games at the beginning of the video. Well, this is one of them. The Raiders have not been playing very well at all, to say the very least. Their defense has been horrible. Now, their offense has been okay, but their defense is really what's been killing them, especially in the loss to the Colts last week. And the Chargers, even at 4-9, they're a very scrappy football team, and they really showed a lot of heart in beating the Falcons, even though they weren't playing that well in that game. They still found a way to win. I mean, I know the Falcons aren't a good team, but still. But I can see the Chargers putting up points in this one and finding a way to upset the Raiders. I'm going to go with the Chargers in this one. 38-35 is my prediction. I think they pull the upset. Sorry, Raiders fans. Now, we have some Saturday games this week. First and foremost, we got the Buffalo Bills taking on the Denver Broncos. And the Bills are making the case of being the best team in the AFC right now. I mean, they're playing very, very well. Started off slow against Pittsburgh, but they were able to bounce back and get a big double-digit victory over the Steelers. And Josh Allen is a bona fide MVP candidate. He's played amazingly this year. And I don't think Drew Lock has the same type of game that he did last week against the Panthers. I think Buffalo takes care of business. 31-17 is my prediction in favor of the Bills. Next up, you got the Green Bay Packers, fresh off of clinching the NFC North, taking on the lowly Carolina Panthers. And the Panthers are really banged up coming into this game. Christian McCaffrey's probably not going to be playing. I think DJ Moore just came off the COVID list, so he should be playing in this one, but still, just a lot of injuries, a lot of issues for the Panthers. And I know the Packers slipped up against the Lions a little bit, but I think they'll take care of business against Carolina. My prediction is going to be Packers 31, Panthers 14. So now we go to the Sunday games, and first up we got the Buccaneers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. And this is actually the first of two matchups in 3 weeks. These teams will play in Tampa in week 17. This game's going to be in Atlanta. And Matt Ryan played horribly against the Chargers last week. And I don't think he's going to play much better against this Tampa Bay secondary. I think Tom Brady's been good enough to get the Buccaneers by, but it's really been their defense that is taking care of business. Got 6 sacks against Minnesota, and they hit Kirk Cousins 12 times. They'll get after Matt Ryan in this one, and I think Tampa Bay takes this one 24-10. Next up, we got kind of a meaningless game. We got the 49ers taking on the Cowboys. Both of these teams have really fell short of expectations this year, mainly due to injury. Of course, Dak had that really gruesome ankle injury early on in the season. Andy Dalton has tried his best, but he just hasn't been very good. Then he got concussed/COVID, and it's been a rough season for the Cowboys. And the Niners have just had injury after injury after injury after injury. Had a really rough performance against Washington. Dallas came out and beat the Bengals in a revenge game for Andy Dalton. I think the Niners are the better team in this one, however, and I think they'll win 20-17, maybe off of a last-second field goal, but this isn't really a game that I'm going to pay much stock in at all. The next up, we got the Lions taking on my Tennessee Titans. And again, I'm not going to make my prediction in this video. Make sure you guys check for Friday's video. And that will probably be up at around 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central for you Titans fans who live in the Nashville, or just in Tennessee in general, not even just the Nashville area. You know what I mean. But if Matthew Stafford plays in this game, I think this is a huge trap game. The Lions have actually played really well since firing Matt Patricia. And if he doesn't play, I think Tennessee wins this game going away. That's not a prediction. I'm just saying, like, if he doesn't play, I think they'll win. And it's just Lions' run game has been completely non-existent so far this season. They're 30th in the league, even with Adrian Peterson and DeAndre Swift there. Now, the thing that worries me about this game as a Titans fan, these are the type of games that Tennessee loses more often than not. Usually they're in playoff position and then they're playing against a team that really isn't playing for much of anything, and they come in there and they beat Tennessee. I mean, you look at Jacksonville last year, you look at the Cardinals and 49ers in 2017, and you look at the Jaguars back in 2016. The Titans have a very bad history in these type of games, so hopefully they have turned a new leaf and that isn't a problem in this one. Again, my prediction will be in Friday's video, but I like Tennessee's chances. That's all I'm going to say. Next up, we got the Houston Texans battling the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts sitting at 9-4, right in the heels of the Titans. And the Texans are dealing with a lot of different things right now. Apparently, they had a violation of COVID protocol, as at least 6 Texans players attended a grand opening at Deshaun Watson's new restaurant or whatever it was. And they're dealing with a lot right now. Watson did have an injury scare last week against the Bears, but he seems to be okay. And the Texans, of course, are coming off a blowout loss to the Bears in that game. The Colts beat the Texans 2 weeks ago, but mainly because of that fumble by Watson at the 2-yard line. I mean, you take that play away, the Texans probably win that game. And I do think they have a chance to win this game as well. But I'm going to give the Colts the advantage here. 27-20 will be the score, but don't sleep on the Texans. They certainly can win this game. So next up, we got the Patriots taking on the Miami Dolphins. And I said it last week, and I said it in Tuesday's video. I'm going to say it again. Miami is very much a contender and a threat to most of the AFC. If they make it to the playoffs, they're going to be one of those teams that nobody wants to play against. And I'll say right now, Xavier Howard is my defensive player of the year. This man has 9 interceptions and 17 pass deflections. I mean, 9 interceptions in and of itself is unheard of. He's 5 away from tying the record. This man is just an absolute beast, straight up. And you have other monsters on this defense like Kyle Van Noy, Eric Rowe, just to name a few. This Dolphins defense is for real. And offensively, Tua Tagovailoa is doing a pretty good job of not turning the ball over. He has 9 touchdowns, 1 interception in the games that he's played, and no fumbles. So he's doing a good job of protecting the football, and that's all they really need him to do. Just, keep running the football, keep moving the ball down the field, and the defense will take care of business. As far as the Patriots go, I don't think Cam Newton has it anymore. And that's really sad because I really like Cam Newton, but at this point, it just really seems like he doesn't have it. He can't push the ball down the field like he used to, and it doesn't help matters that New England doesn't really have the receivers to help him out. So I think if he doesn't play well this week, I think the last 2 weeks of the season, Belichick should just bench him and see what he has in Jarrett Stidham. I don't think Jarrett Stidham is the answer, but at least see what you have in him. That being said, I got the Dolphins winning this one 27-10. And they move closer and closer to getting back to the playoffs. Next up, you got the Chicago Bears taking on the Minnesota Vikings. The Bears coming off their big blowout victory over the Texans, while the Vikings coming off a poor performance against the Buccaneers. And I forgot to mention this in the video on Tuesday, but damn, Kirk Cousins got sacked 6 times, hit 12 times. This offensive line is just not protecting him, or he's just holding onto the ball way too damn long. Maybe it's a mix of the two, but in general, if they couldn't stop Tampa's pass rush, they're not going to stop Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, and all these guys the Bears have. I don't think the Bears are a good team offensively, but their defense is one of the best in the league, and they match up very well with this Vikings team. I'm going to say the Bears win this one 17-10. I think the Vikings will keep it close, but I think the Bears' defense is just going to be too much for Cousins and company, and the Bears probably won't make the playoffs, but they're going to keep pushing towards it, it looks like. Next up, we got the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Washington football team, and the Seahawks are on upset alert this week. I mean, we've seen what Washington has done defensively. They have one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in football right now. Montez Sweat and Chase Young are absolute beasts, and they're just a part of this really good front seven for Washington. And they're going to make Russell Wilson's life a living hell this week. As long as Alex Smith or Dwayne Haskins, whoever plays, because Alex Smith did get hurt last week, as long as whoever plays quarterback doesn't make mistakes, they'll be fine. Just give it to Gibson if he comes back this week. If he's not back, give it to J.D. McKissic, give it to Peyton Barber. If Lamar Miller plays this week, give it to Lamar Miller, and just ride it out, man. Let the defense win you this game. I think Washington takes this one 20-13 and pulls off a huge upset. Next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Gardner Minshew is once again the starting quarterback for the Jaguars. If you watch the second half of Jacksonville versus Tennessee, the offense just looks so much better with Minshew than it did with Mike Glennon or Jake Luton. And maybe that's why Minshew wasn't starting, because they want to tank for another quarterback. But Minshew definitely makes this offense a lot better. He's super athletic, and he makes good decisions with the football. Normally, I would say. With that being said, the Jaguars can't stop the run to save their lives. And I'm not saying the Ravens have a better running game than the Titans, but they have a more diverse running game than the Titans. And if you can't stop all the monsters they have as far as running the ball, that they have, like obviously Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins as well, Gus Edwards, Mark Ingram, all the variety, all the variance, for lack of a better term, in the Ravens running game, the Jaguars won't be able to stop it. I think the Ravens win this one 34-17. Next up, we got the New York Jets versus the Los Angeles Rams, and the Jets aren't winning the game this year. I'm just going to say it right now. I don't see them winning a game this year. Now, maybe they beat the Browns next week, because wouldn't that just be the most Browns thing to do? Having a really good season like this and losing to the Jets, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. They could beat New England too with how bad they're playing, but again, that's a bridge we'll cross when we get there. How long until Adam Gase gets fired? That's beyond me. But this is basically just a glorified tune-up game for the Rams. I think they win this one going away 35-7. Next up, we got the Philadelphia Eagles off of a huge upset victory over the Saints, taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals are probably going to go to the playoffs, but they're like a really middle-of-the-road team. They run the ball very well, but defensively, they're pretty average. Their passing game is hot and cold, but their run game is good enough to get them by, and I think that they'll have a good game against this Eagles defense, even though the Eagles are coming off a huge upset victory over the Saints. How is Jalen Hurts going to play in his second start? We'll have to see. I think this will be a very close game, but with the Eagles' issues in the secondary, I think Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins will have a big game. I think the Cardinals will win this game, but I think Philly keeps it close. I'm going to say 24-21. Next up, we have the game of the week in many people's eyes. We got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the New Orleans Saints. And this very well could be a preview of the Super Bowl. I think at this point in the season, both these teams are the favorite to meet in the Super Bowl. Now, the Chiefs, in my opinion, are still the best team in the AFC. You could make the case for Buffalo. You could even make the case for Tennessee. And Pittsburgh, But the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC, in my opinion. Now, that being said, they didn't look good against the Dolphins for a good portion of that game. We'll see how they do against the Saints, and I think that will really be a measure of just how good this team really is or really can be. The Saints do have one of the best pass defenses in the league as well, so that definitely plays a factor, especially with Mahomes throwing 3 picks against Miami last week. Now, Drew Brees is eligible to come back this week, but from what I've read, what I've heard, it's a long shot. He's still dealing with issues with his punctured lung and whatnot. So Taysom Hill will probably be the starter this week. Although I'm not a big Taysom Hill fan. He has played better than I expected him to. But that's not really saying a whole lot. I didn't really have high expectations for him, to be completely honest. And if Hill is the starter in this one, I don't see the Saints winning at all. My assumption is Hill will be the starter. So I'm going to say the Chiefs win this one 35-24. You know, they're really going to need Brees back in order to make a run at the Super Bowl this year. I just don't see Hill doing it, and I don't really see them moving to Winston anytime soon. Now we go to our Sunday night game. We got the Cleveland Browns taking on the New York Giants, and who would have expected this game to have playoff implications at the beginning of the season? Not me. Baker Mayfield is playing out of his mind. I believe he has 8 touchdowns and 1 pick over the last 2 weeks. Had a really good game against the Ravens on Monday. Just fell short of getting the dub there, but he had a really good performance himself, especially late in the fourth quarter. I don't know that I'd call him an MVP candidate, but he's a dark horse to maybe get some votes. I don't think he wins it, but he'll have his name there if he has some good performances over the next 3 weeks. So a little bit of news for the Giants today. As of me recording this video, Jason Garrett has tested positive for COVID. So former Browns head coach Freddie Kitchens will be calling plays for the Giants in this game. Could this be a revenge game? I highly doubt it. Giants offense isn't very good, and just looking at what Kitchens did with the Browns offense last year compared to what they're doing this year, I just don't see it. I think the Browns win this one 24-10. Last but not least, we got the Monday Night Football matchup this week. Pittsburgh taking on the Bengals. Of course, the Steelers on a 2-game losing streak, and they've had a lot of woes offensively. I know a lot of Steelers fans that I've talked to blame offensive coordinator Ray Finkner, but overall, Big Ben's not playing well, and this is a perfect game for him to get back on track. I mean, the Bengals are one of the worst teams in the league, and yes, I know they beat my Titans. Go ahead and yuck it up in the comments section. But with Joe Burrow, they were actually a team that could threaten anybody from week to week. Without Burrow, this team is nothing. The Steelers do have to play better offensively, though. They are 31st in the league in rushing and 16th in passing, and those aren't the type of numbers you want to have when you're trying to make a run at the Super Bowl. But again, this game is coming at a perfect time. They're playing against a really bad Bengals team, and the Steelers defense will smother the Bengals at very least. It's going to be all about the offense getting it together, and I think that they will. I think they'll put up some points in this one, and I'm going to have the Steelers winning this one 28-10. So those are my predictions for this week. Do you think I'm off base with any of them? Do you agree, disagree? Let me know in the comment section what your predictions are for week 15. And once again, make sure you guys hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, hit the sub button if you're new, turn your notifications on to join the notification gang. Go follow me on Twitch. I stream Monday through Friday at different times, and we're going to keep the positive vibes rolling here. Check my Discord for my schedule. And if you want to see more from this channel, check out the videos and the playlists in front of you.
I've been suffering in silence, and they paid me no mind. I've been stuck inside the shadows for a really long time. It feels like they forgot about me. Well, I'm here to remind you that the world is gonna hear me when it's my time to shine.